So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a couple of examples of what we've been describing as a type 2 minor sequence. So this is when we're in A minor, A minor is going to D, A minor is going to B minor. Now, or equivalent things in other keys, and we're talking a bit more about that at the end of this video. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to be playing over actually both of those. So we've got A minor going to D initially, and then A minor to B minor. Now, initially what I'm going to use is my second position G scale. So this is a 2-octave major scale, which of course we're phrasing in A minor. Okay, so let's give it a go. So that's a little example of using our 2-octave G scale in second position. Now, as previously discussed, if we're moving up through our A minor pentatonic and going what you might call on a sort of a diagonal route, we've got all that stuff sitting there, but we've also got this G scale rather conveniently with opportunity to return to a route there. So getting back down to that root at the bottom of the A is not rocket science, is it? It's not too far away. Anyway, okay, so here's a little example of how that works in practice. And it's very important to hear this stuff in action. You know, you don't just want some theoretical stuff. You need to grasp the theory, but you also obviously need to put it into practice, otherwise it's a waste of time. So that gives you a pretty good idea of how those harmonies work. Obviously, it's important when you're playing this stuff, you have to keep, whilst you're thinking to a large degree about where your G scale is, the more automatic you can make that, the better. In other words, the more practice you put in, the better. Because then you can be playing your G scale while you're thinking in A minor, and that's very important, just getting that phraseology. So it's like all of these things, you have to put a bit of yourself into stuff to make it work. It's not just going to happen automatically, because that would be nice. Before we finish on this subject for the moment, it's important to point out that what we've been discussing here is what you might describe as a level playing field. In other words, a chord sequence with nothing there to trip you up, really. It stays the same all the way through. Now, not all songs do that, obviously, so it's a good idea when you're practicing this to try and pick something that does pretty much the same thing all the way through. So I suppose, let's take some old classics. I suppose things like Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult is a great one. We've got lots of A minor going down to F for ages, and then things like Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. We've got lots of B minor going to E, so that's a type 2 sequence, and so on. So just a little couple of notes then about how you might be able to identify type 1 and type 2 before we move on from this, or move on following from this, I should say. If it's type 1, then where you have an E minor shape, it doesn't matter which fret it's at, okay, then it goes to an A minor shape at the same position, so E minor to A minor shape, in this case in 5th position, gives us A minor to D minor. its relative, which is F. An E minor shape to a C shape at the same position. Okay, that's type 1. If it goes from an E minor shape to an A shape, then we have a type 2 sequence, or an E minor shape which moves up 2 frets. Okay, an easy way of remembering which scale you need is as follows. Okay, here's the root of our A. Okay, if it's type 1, it'll be on our first finger, be on that 5th string. Now this hasn't got to be our starting point, it just tells us which scale. We can start that wherever we want. Okay, equally if it's a type 2, A minor to D, or A minor to B minor, then the starting point is on our 6th string at the 3rd fret. Okay, so that's type 1, type 2 starting points. That really makes life relatively easy. Now if all else fails, you could try both, can't you? See which one sounds right. Okay, that's another way of doing it. But I've always thought, it's handy to get a song in your head which tells you or reminds you. It's the same thing as recognising chord shapes, and you hear that. That's an add 9. If I was to go, let's see. Then, okay, that's type 2. So it's nice just to have something which reminds you of that stuff, so you've got that tonality in your head. So 2 completely different keys in A minor, effectively. That's about it for this particular video. I'm going to be looking at how should we put this delicately, the establishment view of minor scales is, and just how irrelevant a lot of those actually are. So I'm going to leave it at that for the moment, and I'll be speaking to you again very soon. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Bye for now.